Guys, welcome back to another video, and in this one I'm actually going to show you how to do particle anvils. Now to do this I'm not going to be showing you like the settings like normal. I'm actually going to be showing you the trial and error of making one. And to get started, I pretty much took all the pieces of it and kind of put it in a block form to show you just about how many particles we'll need. We might need more or less depending on how detailed you want it, but we're going to need a base, which is the white. We're going to need kind of like a stand post, which would be the green. Then we need to kind of round it out using the red, and then the top of it would be the blue. Then you have kind of the pointed area. This pink is optional. You could just put both yellows like this, but you know, the more you put into it, the more it's going to look. And then the hammer is just a block with a block through it. So let's get started. First thing is I'm going to make a pillar of particle blocks, more than I need. That way, if for some reason I do get down to the bottom, chances are I'll stop near here and I won't have to actually go underground when building or copy it and paste it higher. But anyway, I'm going to be making mine so it faces where I'm looking north. So you kind of want to get your direction set up before you build it, and you might have to like alternate negative values or switch the Z and X around if you're not doing it the same direction as me. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to set a duration, because this is a stationary item that's going to be sitting and not flashing like a fire would. We're going to put this as higher than the emitter duration or emitter frequency, but not by much. So I'm going to set that as 8, so it blinks every 8 seconds instead of every 1 second. Because unfortunately the blinking is a big problem if you're trying to make stationary. Anyway, for the frequency we put 7.8, which is just slightly less than the duration, so that kind of helps with the blinking, because 0.2 of a second before it gets deleted, it spawns another one. Sometimes lag will catch up to it and make it blink, but kind of rarely. Now for the offset, the first particle spawns on the center of the particle block that we have, so it's at 0.5 kind right there. So to get it sitting on top of it, we do 0.5, but because we're going to be putting a width probably of 0.1, we're going to change that 0.5 to 0.6. Then the variance, you don't want anything to do with that because it's not moving around. Same for velocity and gravity. Rotation, you're not moving it. And then the start size, we're probably going to go 0.25. I don't remember which, if X or Y is the width, so I'm going to put 0.5 over here, and then the longer one I'll know which side is which. But anyway, we already decided that 0.1 was going to be the height, and the end size we're just going to leave that as 1. Then the wind, we don't want that. And then for the color, we want a kind of a dark gray. Now it's already set at black, so all we got to do is just raise the values a little bit. And then for the last one, we're going to put 255, which makes it solid and not see-through. And we don't want it changing colors, so we're just going to keep it the same. Now we're going to see where it's at, if this is what we want. It's kind of floating above the ground, so I'm going to move it down, and having the 0.5 is exactly the width that I wanted. Again, if you're looking this way, you're going to want to switch the 0.25 and the 0.5 around. And the color is a little bit dark, so I'm going to change that up from 50 to 100 and see how that works. Color's pretty much most of the trial and error getting the right color. If you want it like a brown or something, it's usually best, if you don't know the color coding for RGB, is to look it up. But most of the time it's a pretty big red compared to everything else. And then we got to wait the 8 seconds to for it to change, and that looks a little bit better. Now we can offset it back down. So instead of 6, we'll do 0.55. That way it'll be sitting on the block and it won't be flying. Of course, you could put a stack block there and just completely cancel that out, but I'm not going to. Then you want to look, see if this is the kind of base you want. Now I'm going to make it a little bit wider and a little bit longer because I feel like this isn't going to be the right size for when we make the head of it. So I'm going to change this 0.25 to 0.35 and this 0.5 to 0.6. So it should be just a little bit bigger. And I'm going to change the duration so you guys don't have to wait 8 seconds for every time I gotta test it. But I would normally default it as 8. But as you can see, it's disappearing because of lag, but it was thicker. So the next thing, we're going to make the second one, or the leg part. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this and paste it right underneath it. That way I don't have to go through every setting again. Then if I just take this 0 and change it to a 1, it's in the same position as it was. But we don't really want that, so we're going to take it and maybe change it to 6, because I'm going to give it a little bit of a rounded edge to it. Because that way it's not just a flat base and then a leg going up, it's more of a flat base that curves into the leg. And then I'm going to take the size and drop it down by maybe 5 for the width, and then same for this. And then to just differentiate the colors, I'm going to maybe add 25 to each of these values to lighten up the leg, just to make it, instead of looking like one piece of rock or steel or whatever you want to make it out of, it will look like it's been put together, and it'll look a lot nicer. As you can see, it's kind of forming together, but that's still pretty large. So I'm going to drop the 0.55 down, maybe a 0.4. That seems about right because our base is still going to be smaller than that. And I'm going to keep my base the same color, so I'm going to just copy this so I don't have to save the typing. And if you're doing a bunch of copying, you might want to just put like a button or something just so you can kind of mark out where you're at, so you don't go when you get further down you don't lose your spot. But again, we're going to offset it up by 1 block. And then we're going to change the Y size on this and the other sizes as well. We're going to keep the width the same because we want it to be pretty much as thick as it already is. But we're going to make it thinner on this side, so maybe 0.35, so it's a little bit wider than it is long. And for height, we're going for 1 full block on this anvil. We don't want it to be too big because realistically anvils aren't. So instead of 0.1 or for what we've had, if you mark both of those up, we're at 0.2 right now. So if we added 0.3, we'd be at half of a block, and then we'd have half a block to spin. But I'm actually going to make it 0.5 because that way I don't have half a block for how thick the top is. I actually just have it 0.3 available. So now that we've got that, we're going to pretty much take this bottom piece right here, copy it, and put it up here. So it gets rounded as you go. So we want to take our second piece and we want to bring it down to the 4th spot. And then we're just going to offset it up by 2. And then we're going to change the 0.6, which actually, since our thing was 5 in height, we're going to need to add 5 to this to make it 3.1. So I think it works. If not, it's just a matter of readjusting the trial and error. And if you don't see your particles, you can no clip and see that it's not in the right spot, so I got to add 1 more. I'm going to go ahead, yeah, I'll add 1 more and then I'll do 0.7 because I think that's just going to be near the bottom. Or maybe not. Maybe 0.1 was exactly where we needed it. Nope. It's just a matter of trial and error. This can be the frustrating part of it, but this is what usually makes it work. Now if you like that height, you can go with it, but I think I can go up a little bit more with it. You don't have to have my exact settings, it's just whatever you feel goes best. I'm going to split the difference. I think that's a little bit too large, so I'm going to go 8.5 or 85. And then so far we've got the base, and because this video is kind of running on a little bit too long, I'm going to end it there. So thanks for watching, and be sure to look out part 2 where we finish it.